right, everybody. Welcome to this first lesson of how to use the pen tool and how to create vector art. So this is a graphic design 2 video, but if you're watching from any other place, that's fine as well. But this is going to be slightly more advanced tool use. And anyway, here's where we're going to start. What I'd like you all to do, if you want to work along with me, and you can feel free to pause this at any point and continue on as you may. What I want you to do is go do a Google search of this term right here, Blue Jay outline. This is for all my high school students. If you found me via YouTube, that's totally fine. You don't have to do Blue Jay outline, but if you are trying to get caught up in my class, we're going to do this. Okay, so Blue Jay outline. Then we're going to click on images right here. So we're doing an image search of this term, Blue Jay outline. Now together, I want us all to grab the same exact outline. So what you'll see is if you scroll through 1, 2, 2, 2, 2, down a little bit, it's about, I don't know, 5 or 6 rows down, you're going to see this one right here. Okay, so you're going to have to just look for a minute. It's just like a very basic Blue Jay outline. It's almost like a stained glass window. It even says stained glass pattern. So if you want to search for stained glass as well, you can. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is we're going to copy this and we're going to place it in Illustrator so that we can kind of trace over it. So I can show you how to use the pen tool. So in order to do that, what we're going to do is we're going to right click on this image and we're going to go to Save Image As. And then when we do that, I want you to save that. You can name it whatever you want. We'll call it Blue Jay Outline, doesn't matter. Blue Jay Outline. I'm going to save it to the desktop. I would advise you to do the same. And then I click Save and it'll be there. Okay, so now that it's on the desktop, we're going to place it in Illustrator. Okay, so we're in Illustrator. We've opened a new file. We'll just got to create new. You can call this whatever. What I call it in the past is just Blue Jay Practice. Blue Jay Practice. Because again, we're going to learn how to control the pen tool and how to make lines exactly where we want to put them. Make sure you're in letter size paper like we always are. Go ahead and hit create and it'll take just a half a second to get going. Here we go. Okay, so now what I want you to do is this is called your layers panel. Some of you might remember these 2 little diamonds stacked on top of each other, supposed to signify 2 pieces of paper on top of one another. You can have that one visible because it'll be useful here in a moment. We're going to go to File, Place. We're going to take that Blue Jay outline that we just put on our desktop. There it is right there. And we're going to place it in our workspace here. So the way you do that, you'll see there's already a little thumbnail, a preview thumbnail of what it's going to look like. What you do is you just click and drag it open like this. It'll stay the size it's supposed to be. You can just make it about, it doesn't matter. Make it fit the paper like this. This is just practice. And then from here, there's a couple things I want you to do before we're done. I want you to drop the opacity right here. Opacity, you might remember, opacity is like whether it's see-through or not. You can drop it down to like, I don't know, 50 or 60%. And then with your panel open, with your layer panel open here, you can go ahead and just lock this layer in place. So that's like in the background. And then make a new layer right here, create new layer right on top. So that layer will be on top of the other one. It'll give us basically a nice little template to practice with the pen tool. Okay, so I'm going to have you move this off to the side a little bit, and we're going to practice with our pen tool right over here in this gray space. So the pen tool is 1, 2, 3 tools down on the left side. It looks like a little fountain pen. And one thing to remember with the pen tool, you can't just draw with it. It's not like a direct input tool. What it does is it allows you to craft like carefully designed lines and arches. So it's a little challenging to get the hang of, but once you do, it's super useful in graphic design. So the best thing that you can do with this, or the way to think about this is like so. You're going to click once where you want to start your line. So click once and then let go of your mouse. Then while you're not clicking your mouse, so see, I'm just moving my mouse around. It's not my mouse is not clicked right now. I want to move my mouse or my cursor to where I want my line segment to end. And then what I do at this point is I click and drag. And when you click and drag like this, you can see that it will give you a preview of where that line is going to go. So it makes a perfectly nice, smooth arch. So it might feel a little weird, and you can move it around like I'm doing right here. It might feel a little weird at first, but what you can do is just kind of get a feel for it. It gives you a preview, and then you basically just let go when you're ready. So I'm going to try to make a little football shape. I'm going to have you try as well. You just let go when you're ready like this, and now you've created this arch. Now, this is making a shape, and I don't actually want to make a shape right now. So what I'm going to have you do is see right down here where it shows the white fill, the black stroke. Go ahead and just click this none right here, and it'll take that fill off for you. Okay, so now look, I have made that line, and right now it's connected to it. It kind of feels like I'm attached, like a little bit tangled up with it, but there's nothing actually happening. This would just show me if I clicked again where it would make the continuation of that line. So you can make like a wavelength or whatever. This is not how I want you to learn though. I want you to remember this process always. Whenever you're making a line segment with a pen tool, you always start by clicking once, moving your mouse, and then clicking and dragging to set the line. So in this case, I want to try to make a football shape. If I just click right there, it's not going to be a football shape. It's got a weird continuation. It kind of looks like a leaf blowing in the wind or something. I don't want you to do that. So what I want you to do here is I actually want you to click once right here on this end anchor point. By doing that, it kind of breaks the line up. And now what I can do is I can move this around. And in this case, if I put it right back where I started, I can now click and drag, and I can open it up and make that sort of eyeball shape or football shape or whatever. Okay. So I want you to practice that. Again, I'm going to show you again. This is the process, and I'm gonna harp on it. I'm gonna say it a lot in class and while we're doing this first project with the pen tool. The way you want to use this tool at first when you're trying to learn it is this. Click once to start your line, click and release, move your mouse to where you want the end of that arch to be, then click and drag and position it how you want, like that. And then on the end of that, whenever you're about to continue a line, you always click once. In this case, I'm going to click right where the other one ended. Then I'm going to move my mouse, and then I'm going to click and drag. And you can make all kinds of weird, unique shapes and stuff. All right, so you click once on the end, move your mouse, click and drag. Click once, let go, move your mouse, click and drag. Click once, move your mouse, click and drag, etc. This is like right now, this looks like trash. That's okay. But this is what the process is. Now, you'll see how I'm still attached to my pen tool here, and it gets a little annoying. If you ever want to just get off of this and you feel like you messed up or something's weird, just come right back over here, ignore the attached line, just come right back over here to your black arrow, click away from it, and then voila, you have this weird segment that you can delete. Okay, so I can just hit backspace. So now check this out. What I'd like for you to attempt to do next, I want you to pause the video here in a second, and with the pen tool, I want you to try using what I just said, try writing your name. So watch, if I want to do a straight line, you can just click once, move it, click again, and I've got a straight line. All right, so I click once to start my line. In my case, I'm going to make an R, so I'm going to come right here, like that, position it, click once, come to where I want it to end. Oops, I messed that up. Come where you want it to end, make a little stretch like that. Boom. I'm going to write out my name. And so I want to get rid of that. I'm going to move on from my R. So the way I do that is I just go back up to my black arrow, click away from it, and look at that. I've got a nice looking R. With my tool again, let's try again. I'll do a lowercase a. All right, so I start by making that arch like that. And you can use the guideline, the program to help you guide what to do. Kind of a weird A. That's all right, it'll work. It'll work for what we're doing. Back to the pen tool, and then I'm going to do my U. This is just us practicing. There you go. It's not great, but I'm going kind of quick. So there you go. There's the process of how to draw with the pen tool, right there. Now I'm going to delete this out, and I'm going to show you what I actually want you to do for this project, for this particular first lesson on how to use the tool. Okay, so I'm zooming in here. Excuse me. I'm going to go to my pen tool. And what I want to do here with this pen tool is I want to trace over every single line on this bird, okay? The way I'm going to do that is I'm going to start just right here on the end of the beak. I'll click like that. Then I'll move my cursor, so I'm not holding my mouse right now. I just clicked once to start my line. Move my cursor to where that line segment ends. In this case, it's right here at the beginning of the beak right there. click once, and then there you go. I've got a line going. So now what I want to do is I want to get over this arch of this bird's head. So the way you use the pen tool is you want to start your line segment at the beginning of a curve, and then you want to end it at the end of a single curve. So in this case, this is two different curves. So this goes up, and then it comes back down, and it goes up the other direction. So I have to look at this and figure out where do I need to end this curve. And in this case, I think I want to end it right about here. So I've already started my line segment. So here I'm going to click and drag, and look at that. See, I can click and drag. I haven't let go yet. And what I want to do is by clicking and dragging, I want to get that arch, that arc to line up exactly with what I'm trying to outline. So like that, boom. There you go. So next up, if I just were to click here, right, it'll make it look like that, and that's not correct. So what I was saying at the beginning of this video, earlier, just a minute ago, every time I'm going to make a line segment, I'm going to click on the end of the previous one, click once to start, then I move my cursor to the end of the line segment, or the end of the arc, and I click and drag, like that. So I'll click once on the tip here to start, and I figure out where this line ends, where this line stops curving. I click and drag like so. Okay. If yours doesn't look quite like mine right now, I advise you to go back and watch the video again up to this point, see if you forgot anything or if you missed something. All right, so here we go. If I try to connect this, it's not going to be right because that's trying to continue that line, that curve, or that arc. So what do? I click on this piece to start my arc. I got to figure out where I think this curve ends and where it starts becoming another curve. So probably like right about here. Click and drag and hold until you get the arc right, like that. And then I'm going to continue on down the back. Sometimes the natural continuation of the curve, like in this case, is pretty accurate to where you want to go. So like if I were to just click right here, it's pretty darn close. So I can still adjust it slightly. It might be a good idea like that. But anyway, click on the end of your line, click where you think that's going to end. I'm just going to come down here like this. I click on the end, I move my cursor, then I click and drag. I click on the end, I move my cursor, and I click and drag like this. So I'm going to pause for a moment. I'm going to go back to my black arrow and click away from it so you can kind of see what I've been doing. What I've been doing with that pen tool is I've been outlining this shape. You see that? This is a useful, once we get into the actual project, after we get control of our tool, you'll see why this is important. Excuse me. So your goal is to try to trace over every single line on this Blue Jay. So let me get back to it. So I've got this continuous line, right? So what if I want to start another line like over here? Well, you can do that. So I've clicked away with my black arrow. So now I can click on that. Like I can go back to my pen tool, and instead of starting on this side of the line, because I don't want to mess up with that side of the bird, I'll just start over here. I'll make a line like this. Boom. And then I can even click away again. The key about clicking over to your black arrow and then clicking away from the design, that's useful to keep you kind of like so that it doesn't get tangled up. See, because you can see how it's kind of tangled up right now. It'll feel like, oh gosh, where do I click next? I hate this pen tool. It can be a little bit frustrating until you get control of it. But just keep in mind that when it feels uncomfortable like this, just go back and click on your black arrow. Another cool thing you can do with the pen tool is this. Well, it's actually a tool that you can use in conjunction with the pen tool, and that is this. All right, I'm just going to make this little line here. Okay, so I'll Control Z. Control Z is always your friend. If you misclick, hit Control Z. But here we go. I'm coming around the bend here. Okay. See what happened right there? I messed it up. If you try to click on an active anchor point like this, it can throw things off because it's trying to connect and make a shape. But what you want to do instead is click close to it, but don't click right on it. And now watch this little move. I'll end it up right there. Okay, so now I click away from it. And if I then click on my white arrow, with the white arrow, you can click on any line that you make, like on this shape here. You'll see that there's a little anchor point. I'm going to zoom in so you can see a little better. There's this anchor point right here. If you click on this anchor point, like double click it, You can then drag it and move it around. And like in this case, you can unite it with that other image, with that other point. In this case, you can double click on that, you can drag it, and you can connect it to that path, okay? So the white anchor point, or excuse me, the white arrow is something that will allow you to go through and like if you click on any given anchor point, there's usually some handlebars that are associated with it. You can smooth things out. You can make sure that you got your arc exactly how you want it. So the white arrow is like a nice little tool after the fact, okay? So you can use it in conjunction. So you've got your pen tool. So here I go, I'm gonna continue up. I'll just go do, I'll move up here and do the face now. Like right here, I wanna do the face. I'm gonna start right there. I'll make a line like that. I'm gonna click away from it. I'll go back to it. And now check this out. You click once to start your line. You click once where the arc's gonna end and click and hold, and then you stretch it out like that. Click on the end there, and then I can probably continue it on like that. Boom. I'm gonna click away from it. It's always good to click away from it and ground it. But right here, let's watch this. What happens when I zoom in here? Okay, so if I try to connect right here and then right here, it could work. It'll probably work fine. Looks pretty good. Sometimes it's gonna jack up your original line. So if you just do like this, click a little bit closer, but not all the way touching, you see that? That's when you can grab that white arrow. You can double click on that anchor point and you can drag it exactly where you want it to go. And then you can play around with the handlebars. It's just another way to deal with it. So if you use the black arrow to ground yourself to not be selected, and then you use the pen tool, obviously, to make your line like so, and then you use your white arrow after the fact to clean things up. So like if I mess up, let's say I do that. Whoops, that's way messed up. I could hit Control Z and get rid of it, or I can go to my white arrow. I can click on that, and then I can grab these handlebars and I can bend it and manipulate it after the fact. White arrow is very useful when you're first learning how to use the pen tool, okay? The goal here is, and you can see I'm slowly working my way around it. Some of you are probably off and running here. The goal here is to use the black arrow, the white arrow, and the pen tool to completely and accurately trace over this simple little design. Okay, so next time I'm going to have you on the next video about the pen tool and how to create vector art. We're going to get into making shapes with the pen tool, but I do want you to get used to just the control. Remember, you click once with the mouse when you're on the pen tool, then you move your mouse, then you click and hold and drag your mouse. That's how you can construct that line and see where that arc is going. Okay. All right, that was a pretty good introduction to the pen tool. This will not be the only pen tool video. We're going to do a little series on it. But I think that if you can follow along with what I just did there, hopefully you can rewind it and pause and watch it again. You should be pretty close to at least mastering the introduction of the way the tool works. Okay. All right. Thank you very much. Next time we'll get a little deeper on the pen tool.